When Adam began talking about his porn addiction and poor experiences and orgies, in his eyes he was being vulnerable. For him, this is how a man breaks down mid party before a bunch of women whom understand dating is hard, especially in terms of bad sexual experiences. For us, it was that men barely knew a woman's anatomy, and even several women could say they did not know as well. Yet to Adam, his frustration was that he was not feeling connected to anyone. His privilege was he did not have to see it was his choices or the women he was picking. It was womanhood in general. Our empty eyes watched as we all smirked like that Daenerys Targaryen meme. Adam had a lot on his chest, and my group of gals looked way friendlier than what we are. He proceeded to discuss his 2 year relationship with a married woman, of which she married her husband while they had been dating for a year. He blamed his travels. He then discussed an orgy where he was feminized by a woman who felt he was not man enough for the crew. He cried. I don't think you should be getting Yelp reviews on your soul by orgy people, I said in an attempt to comfort. Well, I did not take it personally, he snipped. Despite saying he felt so humiliated, he left the orgy room and cried. For men, part of why they can be so much more fragile than women is they do not know how to assess darker feelings, especially in terms of accountability. Sure, I could call orgy woman number one a biatch, but I had to completely forget why. Why? Because that included his emotions. It was something I noted when the producer got crabs. He was grateful I helped him find a doctor and did not judge him, despite him making the announcement within 3 hours of us meeting. Yet a few months later, he stole my music. For Adam, we were there to listen on. Somehow, he was a victim of sexual circumstances that left him sensitive and cold all at once. He did not need us to tell him how to heal or gain self awareness. It was that the women in orgies and marriages that needed self help, not him, or rather, his perceived choices. Yet it was his mutual defensiveness and desire for comfort that cut us off emotionally. I'd never realized until I was asked at that very house party by its hostess Mabi, an old friend that had gotten married to an a-hole and had a baby. Her identity now was fully immersed in motherhood and her man's happiness, of which Adam was a friend, and we could see why. Yet her disappearance from our friendship group had been a slow burn since the beginning of the courtship, but went full force upon their engagement and capped at the wedding day. Her mother, a close friend of my mom's, had complained in wonder if she would even be in Mabi's life had it not been for her need of assistance in raising her grandson. Thus, we were trying to smile through the elephants in the room, Adam, Mabi's friendship, and a weird party question that had launched everyone's questioning of their sex life. Who was the first person to ever flirt with you? Ish, I think. I was 9, I said, shocked. I was at a Target looking at the book section, my favorite. A man approached in his 50s. He was black, bald, and bearded. He looked warm and had big brown eyes that smiled as much as he smirked. I remember the softness of his face because I was so shaken by his persistence to buy me a coffee and have a chat. I was frozen because I was told never to talk to strangers. Well, this guy was having a full conversation with me, or rather himself. When my mother came around, he explained he thought I was older. Admittedly, I may have had the body of an older woman, with my boobs already coming in at age 7, my period at age 8, and my height the same as Tom Cruise's by age 9. A fully grown Tom Cruise. My mother did not take the excuse because my face looked like that of a kid. Moreover, I looked frazzled and frozen, something that would often happen to me when men approached me, especially with their sexual intentions. The instant carnal nature of their desire made me shut down because I did not want to upset them, all while being upset by them. Most of us are, replied Josie. This old ass man tried to drive me home when I was 14, and I almost got in because I was tired. I had to walk 30 blocks every day. The room laughed, while my response triggered Adam's honesty with us, even if not to himself. He skirted through the room and within minutes was discussing how his own sex life had left him feeling endangered and deceived. He went on like he had been holding back his chagrin at how most women think they are the ones being isolated, but emotional guys like himself were being shifted at orgies. His experiences had shown him that women were becoming too masculine or cold to the concept of a feeling man. We all looked at him because to be a woman is to constantly be called over emotional. So much so that you inevitably embrace and work on those damn things called sentiments. In essence, the irony of being a woman is that in being deduced as over emotional, we actually have a chance to become harmonious, balance ourselves according to the very thing that men think we have too much of, feelings. Okay, so let's dissect. Um, so uh, it's always weird. I think as women, many women have the experience of like men kind of looking to us for advice. And it makes sense. You know, I've asked my guy friends for advice on dating. It makes sense to go to the opposite sex if you're comfortable enough. And ask for advice on what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong, does this look good, especially if this is a really strong platonic friendship. I think what's always surprising is the immense amount of just verbal diarrhea that men will have with a group of women when they're feeling down. And I say that because you could tell Adam was sad. He was going through an emotional rut, a little bit of a depression. And women, we are trained to comfort men. And my group, we look way friendlier than we are. And I think it's because we will never deny anybody their feelings and their chance to kind of vent. And but we're also like, we're not the most, we're getting better, all of us, but we're not all, it's a yin and yang, 50-50 of whether we're going to be so forthcoming and so cut off in terms of how pleased we are with what you're saying. Sometimes we're tired, sometimes we're open, sometimes we're combative, sometimes we're just faking it. You know, like you're allowed to have different reactions. And I think as an individual woman or a group of us, you know, I think with Adam, it was just he looked like he was desperate. And that was what was so ironic about his defensiveness. He started talking about how he's been in a relationship with this married woman who got married. She's been married, I think they've been together for 2 years. She got married within like a year after dating him. And he said he kind of made it sound like they were still together, but he was traveling a lot. And I'm like, well, you know what? Like the messiness of the situation. And there's still a level of betrayal because you always have to wonder, how long did you know this other guy before you married him? And what, like, did you even grieve me? Like, what's going on? Weren't we? It was very messy. But sorry, I drink. I'm so thirsty all the time. But he didn't want it to be called a mess. Then he went on about how he has this porn addiction and he's, you know, doing orgies and, you know, women are becoming more masculine and more forward and they've started to feminize him. And he went to one orgy and he got he kind of got pushed aside by a woman and told that he's weak and he got emotional about that. He left the room and cried. And it was this weird thing of like, you know, I'm sorry you went through that experience. But, you know, why are you getting Yelp reviews on your soul and putting yourself in these predicaments where you want to emotionally connect with people that are just, you know, carnal or are not in the mental or emotional headspace to have something richer with you? Like if you're looking, it's like you're looking for wealth in, it's like you're looking for $1 billion at a Goodwill. Or so, you know what I mean? Like you're looking for wealth in a mud pit, or just multiple little examples. Goodwill's actually pretty awesome, but that's what I'm saying. It's like you want luxury and this true love story in the middle of an orgy with 30 people. You know what? Like what Netflix special was that about? And I kind of got taken aback, and I think the girls did too. Like we kind of shut down because it's one of those women have in being deemed over emotional, and that's what I was kind of saying. We oddly get this human opportunity to actually become healthy in our emotions and balanced on our emotions. It's kind of like something that I noticed in terms of my father's abuse. He always called me stupid. Everything I did was stupid. And then it triggered me to unfortunately, it's like trauma goes both ways. It made me feel like I was an idiot all the time, but at the same time, I through time and healing, I analyzed I was actually really wise. He was just projecting, and it's this weird thing of it gives you a wound that if you heal gives you a strength nobody else has. So it when I was wounded, I was dumber than him. But when I healed, I was smarter than him. Like I'm wiser than him, all of it, because all he could do was hurt people. That was his nature. And the way he did it was by making everyone believe they deserved his hurt, or he was actually the one hurt by me. And I think with Adam, it's just he was going to us to have this moment of real vulnerability, and what he came off was insecure. And he came off insecure because he had no plans of growing. He had no plans of self-awareness. He had no plans of kind of checking in on himself and growing up. And for us, that's all we do. That's all we do. We're constantly pushed on brinks and sabotaged and taken advantage of and used. And it's like, I think you hear it all the time. I'm tired of growing. I'm tired of healing. I'm tired of like moving on and moving forward after someone, your abuser or, a man just took from you. And it was kind of like, here, that was his male privilege, this ability to really think the reason why his love life is always going wrong is because women are becoming too masculine. It's not because he's looking for a Taylor Swift love song at an orgy. It's not that. And then he got a little defensive and he's like, I know how to get ladies. And it's like, what do you want? I think that's when I picked up. He didn't come to us for comfort. He came to us to kind of mansplain this feeling he has that women are just getting a little too spicy for him. And he didn't want comfort. It's almost like he just saw the group of us and we were on a WhatsApp chat with all the women of the world, and Adam has feelings. He thinks we're getting a little too strong. Yeah, and I say that because I think when you approach a community that is oppressed, the human choice is to grow up. The human choice is to heal. So you're approaching someone who's wounded because you have a wound and you want to either express that wound or know how to heal it. And in that, you may be telling your story, but you're telling your story because you want to be the listener. And I think with him, I realized he didn't want to be the listener. He wanted to stay in his same situations until it went right. And for us women, we can't afford that. In part because of what I mentioned, I started getting flirted with at age 9. I hadn't even realized it till Mabi made it, asked that question in front of everybody. And she asked it jokingly, and then all the women realized, damn, like by 13, we were bagging numbers. And then by 25, where I made this joke before, when the Leonardo DiCaprio Hospice Center, that's when we are getting older. So like women have been aged so quickly and so much more than men that we've had to kind of go through these way more existential crisis, or at least way sooner than men. And when this guy who's in his 40s is like approaching us and saying, I'm not going to grow up. You guys have to stop being different. Because that's what he's saying. Women are becoming more masculine. We're becoming too strong. It shuts us down because we've had these conversations amongst us. I think everybody has had the conversation. Where is love? Why do women do this? Why do men do that? We're all walking Facebook groups now, thanks to social media. And what shut us down was this real undesire to grow, to kind of fix. And as women, in Mavi's case, I mentioned her because she's somebody who will only fix herself for her man, and now her kid. And that she has always been that way. She has always been that girl that if I'm dating a cowboy, suddenly I'm a cowgirl. If I'm dating an astronaut, I love space. She's always been, the minute she's in a relationship, she's gone. And our friendship with her has always been this understanding of it's a rotating door. When she's single, she'll be single probably for 2 to 3 months because she can't stay that way for too long or she'll melt like the Wicked Witch does to water. So we have an understanding, but for women, we are always pressured to fix ourselves, to grow, to heal, to control our emotions. And when we actually start doing that, but not because men ask us, but because we want our own healing, we want to feel better, there's just something that turns us off on a human basis about someone that wants to complain, but not change. Someone that wants pity, but not truth. And, most narcissistic men will want that, but I think it's just the plain old oppressed dynamic, the powerful person in the room versus the unpowerful person in the room. And we often think that the powerful person is strong, but he was the powerful one because there was such a wall in terms of how he was talking of, I am the victim. There's nothing wrong with me or my choices. What's wrong is an entire community of billions of people. And he felt it and he meant it and he was so sure about it. And that's what made him powerful, but not empowered. And I always tell people, love is power, but power isn't love. And that's why we have so many powerful people that can be so hateful, can be so ignorant, could be so stuck in their energy. And that's what he was. And it shut down this group of women, or rather human beings, if we're just going to go on human, who are like, we are growing. We're trying to feel better. And you're trying to feel better about staying and feeling bad. We're not the same, buddy. We're not the same. So check out daddyrecovery.com. Please subscribe, follow me. Much love. And business class comes out May 23rd. Please here.